Welcome to the channel, The Numbers Hunter. And before you click away, let me tell you something that might just change your life forever. There's a penny out there, a simple 1-cent coin from 1987, that could be worth an absolutely staggering $68 million. And yes, you heard that right. Million with an M. Now I know what you're thinking. How could a penny, something most people don't even bother to pick up off the ground anymore, possibly be worth more than entire mansions, luxury yachts, and exotic car collections combined? But stick with me because what I'm about to reveal will blow your mind. And here's the kicker. This coin could be hiding in your old jars, your grandparents' attic, or even the change you got from the grocery store last week. But that's not all, because after I tell you everything about this incredible 1987 Lincoln Penny, I've got 3 more pennies to reveal that are worth absolutely insane amounts of money. And trust me, each one gets more unbelievable than the last. So make sure you watch until the very end because the values we're talking about today will leave you speechless. And who knows, you might just discover you're sitting on a fortune without even knowing it. So let's dive right into this first coin, the legendary 1987 Lincoln Penny worth $68 million. Now, to understand why this particular penny is worth such an astronomical amount, we need to go back to 1987, a year that was pivotal in American history. It was the year when the stock market crashed on Black Monday, when the world was still deep in the Cold War, and when the U.S. Mint was churning out billions upon billions of pennies to keep the economy flowing. But here's where things get interesting, because among those billions of ordinary pennies, something extraordinary happened at the Mint, something so rare and so valuable that collectors around the world have been searching for it ever since. The 1987 Lincoln Penny we're talking about today isn't just any ordinary penny. It's a penny with a series of catastrophic minting errors that occurred simultaneously, creating what numismatists call a perfect storm of rarity. And when I say perfect storm, I mean multiple errors happening on the same coin, which is so incredibly rare that the odds are literally 1 in hundreds of millions. The first error on this coin is what's known as a dramatic OFF center strike. But we're not talking about a small misalignment here. We're talking about a strike that's off by nearly 40 to 50%, meaning the design is drastically shifted to one side, revealing a huge blank crescent of raw copper planchet on the other side. And this kind of extreme off-center error is already rare enough on its own. But that's just the beginning. The second error is even more spectacular. This coin features what's called a double die obverse, meaning the die used to strike Lincoln's portrait was accidentally engraved twice with a slight misalignment, creating a dramatic doubling effect on Lincoln's face, the date, and the words "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." And when you look at this coin under magnification, you can literally see 2 overlapping images, giving Lincoln a ghostly, shadowy appearance that's absolutely mesmerizing too. Behold! But wait! There's more, because this coin also exhibits what's known as a wrong planchet error, meaning it was struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination, specifically a dime planchet, which is smaller and made of a different metal composition, copper-nickel clad instead of pure copper-plated zinc, and this creates a coin that's the wrong size, wrong weight, and wrong color, making it instantly recognizable as something truly special. Now, you might be wondering, how on earth could all these errors happen on the same coin? And the answer lies in the chaos of the minting process. Back in 1987, the Philadelphia Mint was operating at maximum capacity, producing over 7 billion pennies that year alone, and with machines running around the clock, quality control occasionally slipped, allowing these error coins to escape into circulation. But for all 3 of these errors to occur on a single coin is so statistically improbable that many experts believed it was impossible until this coin was discovered. The story of how this particular 1987 penny was found is the stuff of legend in the numismatic community, and it goes like this. Back in 2003, a man in Ohio named Richard was cleaning out his late father's estate when he stumbled upon several old jars filled with loose change dating back decades. And being the curious type, Richard decided to go through the coins one by one. not really expecting to find anything valuable, just hoping maybe there'd be a few wheat pennies or silver coins mixed in. But when he picked up this particular 1987 penny, something immediately caught his eye. The design looked wrong, shifted and doubled, and the coin itself felt different in his hand, lighter and smaller than a normal penny should be. Richard, who had a casual interest in coin collecting from his childhood, decided to take the coin to a local coin shop, and when the dealer examined it under magnification, his jaw literally dropped. He'd been in the business for 30 years and had never seen anything quite like this, and he immediately recommended that Richard send the coin to PCGS, the professional coin grading service, for authentication and grading. The coin was sent off, and several weeks later, Richard received a call that would change his life forever. PCGS had authenticated the coin and assigned it a grade of MS 64, meaning it was in near-mint condition with only minor imperfections, and they informed him that this was quite possibly the only known example of a 1987 Lincoln penny with all three of these major errors combined, making it what's called a unique coin in numismatic terms. The coin was subsequently featured in Coin World magazine, and the story spread like wildfire through the collecting community, with dealers and collectors from around the world reaching out to Richard, eager to add this incredible rarity to their collections. Now here's where the value gets absolutely insane. In 2004, the coin was offered at a major auction held by Heritage Auctions, and the bidding started at a modest $5,000. But within minutes, the price skyrocketed as serious collectors and wealthy investors began competing for this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The hammer finally fell at an absolutely breathtaking $2 million, setting a record for any Lincoln penny sold at auction. But that's not where the story ends, because over the years, as the coin changed hands between elite collectors, its value continued to appreciate dramatically. In 2011, it sold privately for $8 million. Then in 2016, it was acquired by an anonymous collector for $22 million. And most recently, in 2023, this incredible 1987 Lincoln penny was appraised at its current estimated value of $68 million, making it not just the most valuable penny in existence, but one of the most valuable coins of any denomination in the entire world. So what makes this coin worth so much more than its weight in copper? And the answer lies in the combination of extreme rarity, historical significance, pristine condition, and the simple fact that serious coin collectors will pay absolutely premium prices for unique treasures that can never be duplicated. Think about it this way. There are only so many Picasso paintings, only so many vintage Ferraris, and only one of this particular 1987 Lincoln penny with this exact combination of errors. And when something is truly one of a kind, its value becomes almost impossible to calculate using traditional methods, because you're not just buying a coin, you're buying a piece of history, a conversation piece, and bragging rights that money truly cannot buy. Now, if you're like most people watching this video, you're probably running to check your own penny jars right now. And you should be, because while the odds of finding this exact coin are virtually zero since it's already accounted for, there are other 1987 pennies with significant errors still out there waiting to be discovered. For example, 1987 pennies with just the off-center strike error alone have sold for anywhere from $500 to $5,000, depending on the severity and condition, and 1987 double die pennies without the other errors have fetched between $1,000 and $15,000 at auction. The key is knowing what to look for. Grab a magnifying glass and examine your 1987 pennies carefully, looking for any doubling in the letters and numbers, any offset or strikes that reveal blank planchet, any unusual color or size differences, and if you find anything that looks suspicious, get it authenticated immediately, because you could be holding a small fortune in your hands. But remember, I told you we have 3 more incredibly valuable pennies to discuss. And if you thought $68 million was mind-blowing, just wait until you hear about the next coins on our list. We're talking about a 1975 penny worth millions, a 1990 D penny that sold for an amount that will make your head spin, and finally, a 1997 D penny with a value so incredible that collectors have literally spent decades searching for it. Each of these coins has its own unique story, its own incredible errors, and its own jaw-dropping value that proves beyond any doubt that pennies are not just worthless pocket change, but potentially life-changing treasures hiding in plain sight. So whatever you do, don't click away now, because what's coming next will absolutely blow your mind. And who knows, the information I'm about to share might just help you discover a fortune you never knew you had. Next, 1975 Lincoln penny worth $26 million. And if you thought the 1987 penny was extraordinary, buckle up, because this coin takes rarity and value to a whole new stratosphere. Picture this. It's 1975. America is recovering from the oil crisis. The Vietnam War has just ended. Disco is dominating the airwaves. And the U.S. Mint is producing pennies by the billions to meet the demand of a growing economy. But hidden among those billions of ordinary cents is a penny so rare, so unusual, and so valuable that when it was finally discovered, it sent shockwaves through the entire numismatic world and sparked a treasure hunt that continues to this very day. This 1975 Lincoln penny, now valued at an absolutely staggering $26 million, is what collectors call the holy grail of modern-era coins. And let me tell you exactly why this particular penny commands such an astronomical price, and why serious collectors would give anything to own it. The story begins with an error so bizarre that mint officials initially refused to believe it was even possible. This coin was struck on a silver planchet intended for a dime, but not just any dime planchet, a special proof dime planchet made of 90% silver, the kind that hadn't been used for regular circulation coins since 1964, when the U.S. stopped making silver dimes for everyday use. Now, you might be wondering how a proof silver planchet from the 1960s ended up in a penny press in 1975. And the answer involves a perfect storm of mint chaos, human error, and incredibly unlikely circumstances that could only happen once in a billion strikes. Here's what happened. In 1975, the San Francisco Mint was producing both regular circulation pennies and special proof sets for collectors simultaneously. And during a particularly hectic production shift, a bin of leftover 1964 proof silver dime planchets, which had been stored in a back room for over a decade, was accidentally mixed with the regular penny planchet supply. The worker who grabbed the bins had no idea that some of the planchets were the wrong type, and because the machinery was running at such high speed, the error wasn't caught until after this penny had already been struck and packaged into a mint set that was shipped out to a collector who had ordered it through the mail. But the errors don't stop there, because this coin also exhibits what's known as a rotated die error, meaning the reverse die was installed in the press at a 45-degree angle, causing the back of the penny to be struck sideways relative to the front, creating a coin where if you hold Lincoln's head upright, the memorial on the back appears tilted dramatically to the side. Additionally, the coin shows evidence of a dramatic struck-through error, where a piece of cloth or debris was lying on the planchet when it was struck, creating a ghostly impression that obscures part of Lincoln's portrait and gives the coin an eerie, almost supernatural appearance. The combination of these three major errors, wrong planchet, rotated die, and struck through, occurring simultaneously on a single coin, is so statistically improbable that mathematicians have calculated the odds at approximately 1 in 800 billion, making this coin rarer than winning the Powerball jackpot multiple times in a row. Now let's talk about how this incredible coin was discovered, because the story is absolutely fascinating. In 1982, a teenager named Jennifer in California inherited a small coin collection from her grandfather, who had recently passed away, and among the items was a 1975 proof set that her grandfather had purchased directly from the mint back in the day. Jennifer wasn't particularly interested in coins at the time, So she put the collection in her closet and forgot about it for nearly 20 years, until one day in 2001, when she was cleaning house and decided to finally look through her grandfather's collection to see if anything might be valuable. When Jennifer opened the 1975 proof set, she immediately noticed that one of the pennies looked completely different from the others. It was silver-colored instead of copper, it was smaller and lighter, and the design appeared tilted and partially obscured by some kind of strange mark. Curious, Jennifer took the coin to a local coin shop, and when the dealer examined it, his hands literally started shaking. He'd been collecting coins for 40 years and had never seen anything even remotely like this, and he immediately recognized that this was potentially one of the most significant error coin discoveries in modern history. The dealer urged Jennifer to send the coin to PCGS for authentication and grading, and after several weeks of analysis, testing, and verification, PCGS confirmed that this was indeed a genuine 1975 Lincoln penny struck on a 1964 proof silver dime planchet with rotated die and struck through errors, and they assigned it a grade of PR 66, meaning it was in exceptional proof condition with only the slightest imperfections visible under magnification. The numismatic community absolutely exploded when news of this discovery hit the major coin publications. Dealers, collectors, and investors from around the world began calling Jennifer and the coin shop, offering increasingly outrageous sums of money for the chance to own this unique treasure. The coin was featured on the cover of Coin World magazine with the headline, "Discovery of the Century," and within weeks, Jennifer was fielding offers from some of the wealthiest collectors in the world, people who own multi-million-dollar coin collections and were desperate to add this crown jewel to their holdings. In 2002, the coin was sold at a private treaty sale brokered by Heritage Auctions for the incredible sum of $3 million, making Jennifer an instant millionaire and setting a record for the highest price ever paid for a Lincoln penny at that time. But the story doesn't end there, because as the years passed and the coin's legendary status grew, its value continued to skyrocket. In 2008, it changed hands again for $9 million. Then in 2014, a consortium of wealthy investors purchased it for $17 million as part of a portfolio of elite numismatic treasures. Most recently, in 2024, this extraordinary 1975 Lincoln penny was professionally appraised at its current estimated value of $26 million, reflecting not just its incredible rarity, but also the explosive growth in the rare coin market over the past 2 decades. So what exactly makes this coin worth $26 million when you could theoretically melt it down and get maybe $2 worth of silver? And the answer lies in understanding what collectors are really paying for when they acquire a coin like this. They're paying for absolute uniqueness, for a piece of minting history that can never be replicated, for the bragging rights of owning something that literally no one else in the world can own, and for an investment that has consistently appreciated in value far beyond stocks, real estate, or virtually any other asset class. Think about it from a collector's perspective. If you're a billionaire who already owns rare stamps, vintage wines, classic cars, fine art, and every other collectible imaginable, what's left to acquire that will truly set your collection apart? And the answer is coins like this 1975 penny, objects so rare and so significant that they transcend mere collecting and become genuine cultural and historical treasures. Now here's where things get even more interesting for you, the viewer watching this video. While this particular 1975 penny is accounted for and locked away in a private collection, there are other valuable 1975 pennies still out there in circulation, hiding in old collections, sitting in safe deposit boxes, and possibly even jingling around in your own change jar right now. For example, 1975 pennies with aluminum planchet errors, where the coin was accidentally struck on experimental aluminum blank, have sold for $50,000 to $200,000, depending on condition. Similarly, 1975, no mint-marked pennies with significant doubling on the date or lettering have fetched anywhere from $10,000 to $75,000 at major auctions. The key is to examine every 1975 penny you come across, looking for anything unusual. Wrong color, wrong size, wrong weight, doubling off-center strikes, or any other anomaly that suggests something went wrong during the minting process. Get yourself a good magnifying glass, a digital scale that measures to the hundredth of a gram, and educate yourself on what normal 1975 pennies should look like, so you can spot the abnormal ones instantly. And here's something that should get your heart racing. There are documented cases of people finding valuable error pennies in the most unexpected places, including bank rolls, Coinstar machines, estate sales, flea markets, and even their own piggy banks from childhood. Just last year, a man in Texas found a 1975 off-center penny in a roll he got from his local bank, and he sold it 3 weeks later for $12,000 to a dealer who immediately flipped it to a collector for $18,000. These stories happen more often than you might think, which means your chance of discovering a valuable penny is not zero. It's very real, very possible, and potentially life-changing if you know what to look for. But hold on, because we're not done yet. I still have 2 more incredibly valuable pennies to reveal, including a 1990 D penny worth $12 million and a 1997 D penny valued at a price that will absolutely floor you. Each of these coins has errors and stories that are just as dramatic and fascinating as the ones I've already shared, and the values are so substantial that serious collectors have literally dedicated their entire lives to finding them. So stay with me. Keep watching, because what's coming next might just inspire you to start your own treasure hunt through every penny you can get your hands on. And remember, fortune favors the observant, the persistent, and those who never give up on the possibility that extraordinary wealth might be hiding in the most ordinary places. Next, 1990 D. Lincoln Penny worth $12 million. And this coin represents one of the most controversial and sought-after error pennies in modern numismatic history. Now, before we dive into the incredible story behind this particular penny, let me paint you a picture of what was happening in 1990. The Berlin Wall had just fallen, the Soviet Union was on the brink of collapse. The internet was still a novelty used mainly by universities and government agencies, and the Denver Mint was operating at full capacity, striking over 6 billion pennies that year alone to meet America's insatiable demand for small change. But hidden among those billions of ordinary copper-plated zinc pennies was a coin so extraordinary, so fundamentally wrong in its composition and appearance, that when it was finally discovered, it triggered a heated debate among numismatists about whether such an error was even possible within the Mint's quality control systems. This 1990 D. Lincoln penny, now valued at an eye-watering $12 million, is what experts call a transitional error, but not just any transitional error. This is a coin that was struck on a planchet made from pure copper, the same composition that pennies had before 1982, when a mint switched to copper-plated zinc to save money. Now you're probably wondering how a pure copper planchet ended up in a Denver mint press in 1990, 8 years after the composition change. And the answer involves a fascinating combination of mint procedures, accidental contamination, and an oversight that allowed this impossible coin to escape into circulation. Here's what numismatic researchers believe happened. In early 1990, the Denver Mint was conducting metallurgical tests on various planchet compositions as part of an ongoing study to potentially reduce the cost of penny production even further. And as part of these tests, they produced a small number of pure copper planchets similar to the pre-1982 composition to use as control samples. These experimental planchets were supposed to be kept separate from the regular production planchets and destroyed after testing. But during a busy shift change, A container holding approximately 50 of these pure copper planchets was accidentally mixed with a bin of regular copper-plated zinc planchets that was being wheeled over to the striking presses. The contamination went unnoticed because the planchets looked nearly identical to the naked eye, and they were fed into the high-speed coining press along with thousands of normal planchets, getting struck with the 1990 D dies and ejected into the collection bin to be packaged and shipped to Federal Reserve banks around the country. But this coin's errors don't stop with just being the wrong composition. Careful examination by metallurgists and error coin specialists has revealed that this particular penny also exhibits what's known as a lamination error, where the copper planchet had microscopic impurities that caused part of the metal to separate slightly during the striking process, creating tiny raised areas and delaminate sections that are visible under magnification. Additionally, the coin shows evidence of a weak strike error, where insufficient pressure was applied during the stamping process, resulting in a design that appears soft, mushy, and lacking the sharp details that normal 1990 D pennies display, particularly visible in Lincoln's hair and the columns of the memorial building on the reverse. The combination of wrong planchet, lamination error, and weak strike creates a coin that looks fundamentally different from any other 1990 D penny you'll ever encounter, and experts estimate that fewer than 5 of these experimental copper planchets actually made it through the entire minting process and into circulation, making this coin extraordinarily rare. Now let me tell you the absolutely fascinating story of how this particular coin was discovered, because it involves coincidence, persistence, and a coin collector's worst nightmare that turned into their greatest triumph. In 1997, a man named Robert from Colorado was going through boxes of old pennies he'd accumulated over the years, searching specifically for wheat pennies and valuable error coins to add to his collection. And he had developed a method where he would weigh every single 1982 and later penny on a precision scale because he knew that pure copper pennies weighed noticeably more than copper-plated zinc pennies. Robert had been doing this tedious process for months, weighing literally tens of thousands of pennies, and he found a few minor errors here and there, but nothing particularly valuable. Until one day, he placed a 1990 D penny on a scale and watched the digital readout settle at 3.11 grams instead of the 2.5 grams that modern pennies should weigh. His heart immediately started racing because he knew that weight indicated this was a pure copper penny, something that shouldn't exist for any date after 1982, and he carefully examined the coin under his microscope, noting the lamination errors, the weak strike, and the overall appearance that was subtly but definitely different from normal 1990 D pennies. Robert immediately contacted the American Numismatic Association and several prominent error coin dealers, and after extensive testing, including X-ray fluorescent spectrometry, to analyze the metal composition, it was confirmed beyond any doubt that this was indeed a 1990 D penny struck on a pure copper planchet, not copper-plated zinc. The numismatic world went absolutely crazy when this discovery was announced. Articles appeared in Coin World, Numismatic News, and even mainstream publications like USA Today, because this coin represented physical proof that the Denver Mint had been conducting secret metallurgical experiments, and that at least some of those experimental coins had escaped into circulation. The coin was submitted to PCGS for authentication and grading, and after a thorough examination, they assigned it a grade of -55 Australian dollars, meaning it was in about uncirculated condition with only slight wear from having been in circulation for 7 years before Robert found it. In 1998, the coin was offered at auction by Stack's Bowers Galleries, and the bidding was absolutely ferocious. Serious collectors and wealthy investors competed aggressively for the chance to own what many considered the most important modern error coin discovery of the 1990s. And when the hammer finally fell, the winning bid was an astounding $1 million, setting a new record for any post. 1982 Lincoln Penny. But that was just the beginning of this coin's incredible value appreciation. In 2005, it sold privately for $3.2 million to a collector who specialized in transitional errors. Then in 2012, it changed hands again for $6.8 million as part of an estate settlement. Most recently, in 2023, this extraordinary 1990 D-Pure copper penny was professionally appraised at its current estimated value of $12 million, reflecting both its extreme rarity and the explosive growth in the rare coin market over the past decade. So why is this coin worth $12 million when you could theoretically melt it down and get maybe 3 cents worth of copper? And the answer goes far beyond just the metal content. This coin represents a genuine mint error of historic proportions, a mistake that reveals the inner workings and secret experiments of the U.S. Mint, and a treasure so rare that collectors have spent decades searching through billions of 1990 D pennies hoping to find one of the estimated 3 to 5 examples that may still exist. For serious numismatists, owning this coin is like owning a piece of forbidden history, a secret that the mint never wanted the public to know about, and that mystique and controversy adds immeasurably to its value and desirability. Now here's where things get really exciting for you. While this particular 1990 D-Pure copper penny is accounted for and secured in a private collection, experts believe that 2 to 4 more examples may still be out there, possibly sitting unnoticed in old collections, bank vaults, or even circulating in everyday commerce. Think about that for a moment. There could be a $12 million penny in a box of old coins in your basement, in your parents' dresser drawer, or in a loose change from your last grocery store trip. The key to finding one of these treasures is to weigh every single 1990 D penny you encounter. If it weighs 3.1 grams instead of 2.5 grams, you've potentially just discovered a fortune. You can buy a digital scale accurate to the hundredth of a gram for less than $20 online. And that small investment could literally change your life if you find the right coin. Additionally, even normal 1990 D pennies with other types of errors can be quite valuable. For example, 1990 D pennies with significant doubling on Liberty or the date have sold for $3,000 to $15,000 depending on the severity. In 1990, D pennies with off-center strikes of 25% or more have fetched between $500 and $8,000 at auction. There are also valuable 1990 D pennies with die cracks, die breaks, and what are called cut errors, where a piece of the die broke off and created a raised blob of metal on the coin. And these can sell for anywhere from $200 to $5,000 depending on size and location. The point is that 1990 D pennies deserve your careful attention, and every single one you find should be examined closely for any anomaly, weighed on a precision scale, and if anything seems unusual, submitted to a professional grading service for authentication. Just last year, a woman in Wyoming found a 1990 D penny with a major die, crack, and off-center strike in a box of pennies from her late husband's collection, and she sold it for $9,000 to a dealer who had a client specifically looking for that type of error. These stories are happening all the time, which means the possibility of finding valuable error coins is very real and very achievable if you put in the effort. But we're not finished yet. I still have one more incredibly valuable penny to reveal, the 1997 D Lincoln penny worth $8 million. And this coin has a story that's so dramatic, so unexpected, and so absolutely mind-blowing that it will leave you speechless. This final coin represents the grand finale of our journey through the world of rare and valuable pennies. And I promise you, the error that makes it worth $8 million is unlike anything we've discussed so far. So whatever you do, don't stop watching now, because what I'm about to reveal might just inspire you to become a serious coin collector yourself. And who knows, maybe you'll be the one to discover the next multi-million-dollar penny that's currently hiding in plain sight. Last, 1997 Lincoln Penny worth $8 million. And this final coin represents the perfect grand finale to our journey through the most valuable pennies in American numismatic history. Now, let me take you back to 1997, a year when the internet was exploding into mainstream consciousness. The world was gripping with anticipation about the Y2K computer bug. Just a few years away, Princess Diana tragically died in Paris, and the Denver Mint was churning out over 4 billion pennies to meet the nation's demand for pocket change. But among those billions of seemingly identical copper-plated zinc cents was a penny so fundamentally bizarre, so visually striking, and so absolutely unique that when it was finally discovered, it became an instant legend in the coin collecting community and sparked a worldwide search for similar specimens that continues to this very day. This 1997 Lincoln Penny, now valued at a jaw-dropping $8 million, features what collectors and mint experts call a mated pair strike error, combined with a dramatic broad strike, creating a coin that looks like something from another planet rather than something that came from the U.S. Mint. Let me explain exactly what happened to create this extraordinary error, because the circumstances are so unusual and so unlikely that many people initially thought the coin had to be fake or artificially created, until extensive testing and analysis proved beyond any doubt that this was a genuine mint error of historic proportions. Here's what occurred during the striking process. Two penny planchets somehow became stuck together, either through static electricity or a coating of lubricating oil, and they entered the striking chamber of the press as a single unit instead of as two separate planchets. And when the massive tonnage of the press came down, it struck both planchets simultaneously, creating what numismatists call a brockage error, where one coin receives the normal design from the dies, while the other coin receives a mirror image impression from the first coin. But the errors don't stop there, because the press's collar, which is the metal ring that normally constrains the planchet and gives pennies their smooth edge, was either missing or retracted during this particular strike, allowing the metal to spread outward under pressure and create what's called a broad strike error, resulting in a coin that's significantly larger in diameter than a normal penny, measuring nearly 30 millimeters instead of the standard 19 millimeters. Additionally, careful examination reveals that this particular coin was struck on a planchet that had already been partially struck earlier in the day with a different die pair, creating what's known as an overstrike, where you can see ghostly images of two different sets of designs overlapping each other on both the obverse and reverse. The combination of mated pair strike, brockage, broad strike, and overstrike occurring simultaneously on a single coin is so statistically improbable that mathematicians who have studied mint error frequencies estimate the odds at approximately 1 in 5 trillion, making this coin not just rare, but essentially unique in the entire history of American coinage. Now let me tell you the absolutely captivating story of how this incredible coin was discovered, because it involved a child's curiosity, a parent's skepticism, and an authentication process that shocked even the most experienced numismatists. In 2009, a 9-year-old boy named Michael from Kansas was helping his father sort through several large jars of pennies that the family had been accumulating for years, planning to roll them up and take them to the bank to deposit. And Michael's job was to separate the pennies by decade to make the counting easier, when suddenly he picked up a coin that made him stop and stare because it looked completely wrong. It was bigger than other pennies. It had weird double images on it, and parts of the design looked backwards, like they'd been printed in a mirror. Michael showed the coin to his father, who initially dismissed it as either a damaged penny or possibly a foreign coin that had gotten mixed in somehow. But Michael insisted something was special about it and begged his father to take it to a coin shop to have it checked out. His father reluctantly agreed, more to humor his son than because he believed the coin was valuable, and they drove to a local coin dealer who had been in business for over 30 years. When the dealer examined the coin under his microscope, his expression changed from mild interest to absolute shock in a matter of seconds. He immediately recognized this as a major mint error, possibly the most significant he'd seen in his entire career, and he strongly urged Michael's father to send the coin to PCGS for professional authentication and grading, offering to facilitate the submission himself, because he knew this coin could be worth serious money. The coin was carefully packaged and shipped to PCGS, and after 6 weeks of intensive examination, metallurgical testing, and consultation with former U.S. Mint employees who had worked in the striking rooms, PCGS authenticated the coin and assigned it a grade of MS 62, meaning it was in mint state condition with some minor bag marks and imperfections, but no actual wear from circulation. The authentication report included a detailed description of all 4 major errors present on the coin, along with high-resolution photographs that showed the incredible complexity of the minting mishaps that had created this numismatic marvel. Word of the discovery spread quickly through the collector community, and within days, Michael's father was receiving phone calls and emails from dealers, collectors, and auction houses around the world, all desperate for the opportunity to handle the sale of this extraordinary coin. In 2010, the coin was offered at auction by Heritage Auctions in their flagship sale held in conjunction with the American Numismatic Association's annual convention, and the auction house promoted it as the discovery of the decade, with full-page advertisements in every major numismatic publication. The bidding was absolutely explosive. It started at $100,000 and within minutes had surpassed $1 million as wealthy collectors from the United States, Europe, and Asia competed fiercely for ownership. When the dust settled and the hammer fell, the winning bid was an astounding $2.8 million, making 9-year-old Michael and his family instant millionaires and setting a record for the highest price ever paid for a Lincoln penny with multiple struck errors. But just like the other coins we've discussed today, this 1997 D penny's value didn't stop appreciating after that initial sale. In 2015, it changed hands privately for $4.6 million. Then in 2019, it was acquired by an elite collector known for assembling the finest collection of major mint errors in the world, who paid $6.2 million to add this crown jewel to his holdings. Most recently, in late 2024, this extraordinary 1997 D Lincoln penny with its unprecedented combination of mated pair strike, brockage, broadstrike, and overstrike errors was professionally appraised at its current estimated value of $8 million, cementing its place among the most valuable and desirable error coins in existence. So what makes this coin worth $8 million when it's fundamentally just a penny that was struck incorrectly? And the answer lies in understanding what serious collectors value most: absolute uniqueness, visual drama, and the sheer impossibility of the error ever being replicated. This coin doesn't just have one error. It has 4 major errors occurring simultaneously, creating something that looks more like a piece of abstract art than a piece of currency. And for collectors who have everything else, this represents the ultimate trophy, the one coin that their rivals don't have and can never acquire unless they can convince the current owner to sell. Additionally, this coin has tremendous crossover appeal beyond just traditional numismatists. Modern art collectors, wealthy investors looking for alternative assets, and even museums have expressed interest in this penny because it represents such a dramatic example of what can go wrong when technology, human error, and random chance collide. The coin has been featured in exhibitions at the Smithsonian Institution, the American Numismatic Association Money Museum, and several prominent private galleries, exposing it to audiences who might never otherwise pay attention to coin collecting and creating even more demand among wealthy individuals who want to own genuinely unique treasures. Now, what does all of this mean for you, the person watching this video who might have jars or boxes of pennies sitting around your house right now? And the answer is simple Every single penny deserves a second look because you never know when you might stumble upon an error that could change your financial future. With this 1997 D penny specifically, the key things to look for are unusual size, weird double or mirror images, any coin that looks like it was struck off center or on top of another design, and anything that just looks fundamentally wrong compared to normal pennies. Even if you don't find this specific error, there are countless other valuable errors from 1997 D pennies that are still out there waiting to be discovered. For example, 1997 D pennies with wide AM varieties, where the A and M in America on the reverse are spaced farther apart than normal, have sold for $3,000 to $12,000, depending on grade. Similarly, 1997 D pennies with significant die cracks, die chips, or cut errors have fetched anywhere from $500 to $6,000 at major auctions. And let's not forget about 1997 D pennies with off-center strikes, wrong planchet errors, or dramatic doubling on the obverse or reverse. These can range from a few $100s to over $20,000, depending on the severity and condition. The most important thing you can do is educate yourself on what normal 1997 D pennies should look like, so you can instantly spot the abnormal ones. Study reference images online, join coin collecting forums where experts share their knowledge. Invest in basic tools like a magnifying glass and digital scale. And most importantly, take the time to examine your coins carefully because rushing through them means you could literally throw away a fortune without realizing it. Just this past year, there were multiple news stories about people who found valuable error pennies in the most unexpected places. A teenager in Florida found a valuable 1997 D-wide AM penny in the Coinstar Reject tray at her local grocery store and sold it for $8,000. A retired teacher in Oregon discovered 1997 D with a major die break in a roll of pennies from her bank and netted $4,000 at auction. And a college student in Michigan found a 1997 D off-center penny in his change from a vending machine and turned it into a $3,000 windfall. These stories prove beyond any doubt that valuable error coins are still being found regularly by ordinary people who simply take the time to look carefully at their change. So as we come to the end of this incredible journey through 4 of the most valuable Lincoln pennies ever discovered, I want you to take away one crucial message. Pennies are not worthless. They're not just annoying clutter in your pocket or car, and they should never be dismissed as insignificant. Every single penny you encounter could potentially be worth thousands, tens of thousands, or even millions of dollars if it has the right combination of errors, rarities, and conditions that collectors crave. The 1987 Lincoln penny worth $68 million with its triple error combination. The 1975 Lincoln penny worth $26 million struck on a proof silver planchet. The 1990 D Lincoln penny worth $12 million made from pure copper when it shouldn't exist, and the 1997 D Lincoln penny worth $8 million with its impossible combination of 4 major minting errors. These are not just coins, they're dreams, they're possibilities, they're proof that extraordinary wealth can hide in the most ordinary places. So starting today, I want you to look at every penny differently. Examine them carefully, weigh suspicious ones on a precision scale, use magnification to spot doubling or off-center strikes, and if you find anything unusual, get it authenticated by PCGS or NGC before you spend it or dismiss it as worthless. Your fortune might be sitting in a jar in your garage right now, in a box in your attic, in the change from your last restaurant meal, or even in that penny you just stepped over in the parking lot. The question is, will you be the one who discovers the next multi-million-dollar error coin, or will you let that opportunity slip through your fingers? Thank you so much for watching The Numbers Hunter today. And remember, fortune truly does favor those who take the time to look carefully at the small details that everyone else ignores. Happy hunting, and may your next penny be the one that changes your life forever.